alright now. 4:29. The Tinkling Guy's here. We'll talk to him next. Jean-Michel Jarre is here. Jean-Michel Jarre is here. Now, you know, the last time we had Jean-Michel Jarre in, I believe he was teaching Tim over here some French.
He was teaching me French and some keyboard, some bon tempi.
Yeah, that's right. Bon tempi. Please. Bonjour, monsieur. How are you? Okay?
Fine, but I'm afraid that I'm not that good as a teacher in my own dialect, because your French is not that good after all these years.
It hasn't improved that much.
I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Many years ago, when I worked on a local radio station in the Reading district, I presented a show called Counterpoint, and one time my boss at the time met Jean-Michel Jarre at Heathrow Airport, and we said, we want to use Oxygene as the theme. And he said, yeah, that'll be all right. So we got permission from him. Then the next time I saw Jean-Michel Jarre was, we did an interview for him on the old station Radio 1, and then we saw him again in here, and then I saw you again in Brussels. We did an interview for CNN, and now here you are now. And quite honestly, I think you're very irresponsible, because here's what you do, Jean. You just, wherever you go, the traffic has to stand still. Here you are, like you're in the middle of Paris, you're bunging up the traffic, there's fireworks going off everywhere, you're there at your keyboard. What's the matter with you? I mean, it's like the running of the bulls or something. You're just blocking up traffic wherever you go.
I hate cars. That's right.
Good answer.
And then there's that thing where you made it rain down in Docklands. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I saw that with all the images on the buildings in Docklands. That clogged up the river.
Yeah, it clogged up the river.
I was always keep on saying that frogs like rain, and you know that was really bad for me.
It's unique, really, what you do. I mean, people have started to copy it, obviously, over the past, 15 years, you know, your Yarnies and all of those people. But you did it all first, didn't you?
It was really linked with the idea that I always been convinced that electronic instruments are probably the less sexy instruments on stage. I mean, staying behind your laptop for 2 hours, it's obviously not the most exciting thing. So I tried to find how to visualize electronic music. And I've been inspired maybe by style like the opera in the old days, where classical musicians were trying to work with stage directors or carpenters or painters or people doing costumes to try to think about a big picture that could help to visualize the music or music performance. And it's what I've done with the tools of my generation by using electronics or video or lights.
And it's always been this big theatrical event, hasn't it? When did you first think, okay, I'll make electronic music, but we'll stage it as well on a vast scale?
I think it's coming from my childhood. I was living in Lyon with my grandparents, and in front of their flat you had small square where circuses used to appear for one night and disappearing the following morning. Yeah. This ephemeral event, always, for me, this is the epitome of what a show should be.
When you look at electronic music over the years, especially in the pop field, the reverse is true. If you look at some of the German electronic music of the 70s and 80s, it's small, isn't it? They deliberately made it small. You've gone the other way, and you get away with it. It's amazing.
I've also been always convinced that electronic music, like a lot of other musics, are totally differently, I would say, received in an open air situation, because you don't depend on reflections of the walls of a hall and all that, and so it's totally different. And obviously when you're outside, the scale is different, and the way the audience can share the event is also free. So, I mean, it's also due to that fact that you can have huge crowds and people feeling free to also share something without any second chance for yourself and for themselves.
And the other problem, I suppose, and it's incredible that you've overcome this problem really, is people tend not to play like long pieces of electronic music on the radio. There aren't any radio stations. There's not Jean-Michel Jarre FM anywhere. It must be quite difficult to get played, really.
Actually, I remember when I first released Oxygen, I mean, all record companies refused at the beginning, saying, first of all, he's not singing. Secondly, tracks are lasting for 10 minutes. And thirdly, he's French.
No.
Absolutely, yes.
No.
We can name people saying this, because he's saying that.
Originally, then, people tried to talk you out of making that kind of record, because they're symphonies, aren't they?
But you know, I mean, in other ways, I mean, Pink Floyd more or less had that most of the time, and they had singles from time to time, like me.
But did you always write the music and think, yeah, you can take 3 or 4 minutes from that piece in Equinox or Oxygen, and that could actually become a single, yeah?
It's actually what happened from time to time, because a single is like the first chapter of a book, in a sense, as we all know. And partly these days with internet and with lots of other media, you have so many things and so many ways to express and to convey your music in different ways rather than singles. So, frankly, it never really affected me that much.
You are no longer married to Charlotte Rampling, are you?
No.
And
but we're still very good friends.
I was going to ask you, have you managed to stay good friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have an excellent relationship. We succeeded, what is not that often, as we all know, I mean, to keep a very, very close relationship. And we are very close with the family, with the kids, and all of us.
Yeah, that's good. And tell me about this new product, which I have in front of me, Aerology.
It's Aero. Aerology is the single. I mean, talking about the single.
Okay, it's Aero, and Aerology is the single. Now,
yeah, that's right.
Shall I play the single?
Yeah,
why not?
All right, I'm going to play that. Stay there. We'll be right back with Jean-Michel Jarre in just a second. Yeah, Jean-Michel Jarre is here. He's French. I find that exhilarating and also relaxing at the same time.
I like it. I find it very atmospheric.
Jean-Michel Jarre, everybody. And that's a single taken from the new album. The album is called, the single called Aero, and the...
No, the reverse, but it's a good try.
Well,
The album is Aero,
Yes.
and the single is Aerology.
I think I was going to say that, Jean-Michel.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
did I interrupt you?
Yeah, you did.
Ah.